What's up, beautiful people? It is Mirror Management Mondays, and I am dropping some gems from me to you because as I learn, you are going to learn, and that is what is going to make us better together. Today is really about what I learned, obviously, but I learned in this uncertain times that we are going to be okay. We work better together, and that is when things start to take place. I sat and thought about a lot of things that have taken place, right? And of course, one can look at it with the lens and say that this is horrible and find every single thing that is wrong. And then one could put on another lens, right? And they could say, everything that has happened has transformed every single life. But there's great things that have come from it simply because they're looking at the goal and they're adapting. What does this new life look like? Because obviously, the way of life that we were in didn't work. Uh, yeah, obviously it didn't work. And that's not in every aspect. So don't take it literally. But a lot of things did not work and they needed to change, right? So now that change is here, it's all about what you are going to do with this change. Change is uncomfortable. I thought about like every time it was time to change something for me, I just got in this uncomfortable spaces. Like, I don't know. Most people have the fear of not knowing, unknown. The unknown scares people. Some people handle fear very, very well when it comes to unknown, and others are all over the place. It's all about how they specifically handle things based on their preference of response and so much other things. How are you responding? That is a great question that I would actually love to know. How are you responding? How are you adapting? How are you achieving? How has this affected you? What what was the best thing to come from this? Because obviously we want to have that gratitude type of attitude because that is what's going to be our driving force for greater things. Gratitude cannot sit, just honestly cannot sit next to anger. Gratitude cannot sit next to misery at all whatsoever. So as you go through these days and you could definitely adapt a gratitude type of attitude. You in that time you're able to release characteristics that you have embodied maybe since the womb. Maybe it was only adapted as an adult, but when you practice something, especially gratitude, you begin to release things. Things start to remove from you that you did not even know that you had actually carried. It's interesting because I would be this very optimistic person all the time, which I am. That's, naturally how I am. I thought I was a high I, but I found out I'm an S. I am all of them. However, I am not as gifted in all of those. DISC, the disc, if you don't know what I'm referring to. However, I thought that I was an I. And with thinking that I was an I was having this optimistic gratitude attitude all the time. That was adopted. That wasn't always there. I embodied a lot of different emotions that were secondhand, and then some that I just grew based off of experiences, right? And I understood that my conscious allowed me to feel that I don't like this. I don't like feeling like this. although I still kept some of those responses and those emotions, I was able to identify what it is that I didn't like and how it affected me. As I started to adapt the gratitude attitude, I started releasing things that I didn't even know that I had, like anger, bitterness. There was different things that I didn't know that I was holding on to that I actually released unknowingly until I literally, got in the work in the mirror and did the mirror management work where I'm like, wow, now I know that I had these things packed up, but I never really knew that I had those things packed up. And, we tend to suppress what we have within us instead of allowing it to be released so that we're able to identify what it is that we're experiencing and address it. Because once again, my anger, my bitterness would not be able to thrive and multiply if I continue to have that attitude of gratitude. So I had to literally continue to do that on every day. And it's a choice. And I'm not going to say that it was easy because some days it was harder. But the more you practice something, the better it becomes, the stronger that something is. And so many individuals who have met me in my adult life, are able to, vouch for that simply because that was something that was practiced. That wasn't a natural gift, so to speak. Yeah, it might have been natural just because even when I was younger, I would try to find the good out of all situations. Although I would still allow my anger, my frustration, and so many other feelings, I would still allow that to overpower. So I guess it was still in me. It just was a little bit suppressed because I allowed the other adaptive emotions to take over. So what I would like for you to do today is sit with yourself for a moment. Think about the main two emotions that drive you, or even if it's just one, because a lot of individuals, like, there's a certain type of person that love results, right? And if the results aren't in place, they become angry. So anger is their driving emotion. Find out what your driving emotion is. What makes you tick, pretty much? Short fuse, anger behind it. You don't have to let me know that, but what you could do is identify that, because identifying it allows it to be uprooted. And then it also puts you in the frame of, now I can replace this with gratitude. And then I can work towards making this better. It's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight, but at least identifying it. Because once you've identified it, it's like once you learn a piece of information, you can't unlearn that. And now you have a choice. So I love information, but I'm also like, geez, when I get the information, what do I do with it? Not what do I do with it, but sometimes I don't act as fast as I should. And the information that I get, I'm just like, geez, I got this piece of information and I can't let it sit in my brain, because now that I know this, I have to make people aware. I have to make myself hold myself accountable for the new information, because as I receive the information, there's something that needs to be done. So, as always, a call to action: find out what your driving emotion is and be honest with yourself, because that is what's going to make you better. And obviously, I want you to be better because we need to be better. overall as human beings. We always need to be working on evolving as mothers, sisters, cousins, nieces, also as fathers, uncles, brothers, nephews, cousins. We all need to evolve. This isn't a work that can be done by one person, but by all people. So individually, you do your part so that when you come back into the community, whatever community you in, you have evolved enough for them to see it and them to embrace it, but them to also say, how can I do that? Not the same thing, but similar. Have them to desire and want to go after change as well. So don't forget your call to action. Identify, identify the emotion. And that's all for now.